Encomium to Extinction is the latest 12-inch EP from Carcinoid, a Melbourne, Australia-based death doom metal band who've been around for a handful of years, pushing a sound that I would most readily compare to groups like Cyanide in Winter and more modern bands like Fetid and Anthropophagus for their kind of garage death metal noise. It's a very noisome thing that they were doing early on. Their tape was just kind of gnarly the way it sounded with the guitar sound, and the bass was huge. And their debut really delivered that early kind of Coffins and Cyanide-esque sound, a very bass-heavy, aggressive, and just huge. Old school, pure old school niche death metal, and I loved that. It kind of veered towards the descent into hell, I would say overall, and I had good things to say about when I reviewed it. They did have some elements of sludge metal in there too, so uh, let's cut to a new song, and you'll get a sense for like what's changed in terms of general fidelity and how that might have cut out some of the garagey filth of their early sound. So I sort of mentioned sludge and production values here because while this is still very much an old school death metal band, they have cleaned up their act a little bit in terms of a very nice sounding render, and this is a great production job here in terms of both the recording and how they've captured these tighter performances overall, but the mastering is much more atmospheric. They never really had this kind of presence before, and it sounds great. It's proving they can kind of pull it off. They can clean up a bit. And, as much as I love that old, dirty sound, what's interesting is that it makes it so you have to focus on what they're playing. It does make you focus more on their songwriting. And here we get something that's more aggressive than what they did in the past, but also more doomed than what they were doing in the past. I think their biggest doom metal riffs were on their debut, Metastatic Declination. Without a doubt, those were just kind of their best riffs yet. And on this record, they pull back a little bit, and they do kind of what I would consider something that's more related to what Undergang does, while also pulling out a couple of sludge metal riffs that are very catchy. And when I say sludge, I'm not talking about anything beyond 1995. I'm talking about the really doom metal and punk influenced stuff. And, if you're looking for like 1992 era death metal and also look like some early 90s sludge metal, you'll understand what I'm talking about when we get to some of these songs here, which are very catchy. So, as well, the clip that we played from Morbid Curse earlier is really what sells the record to me up front. It's a 30-minute record, so it is substantial, and it does feel like a follow-up to their debut. But we'll see kind of where they go with it from there. Otherwise, I think if you like death metal and you like death doom metal and you don't mind a couple of swinging heavy rock riffs or sludge metal riffs in there, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of attitude in this record. And it should appeal to folks who like some of the more grinding and brutal touches that bands like Undergang and Anatomia have worked into their sound. So, for me, this was a moderately high recommendation. I think that it's almost there. I think that some of these songs are so much more catchy and memorable than others that I want to hear a full album of this. I want about 10 more minutes with the band, and so I can see the full idea. So, still a good record, easy to recommend. It comes out today, and is well worth checking out. You can read my thoughts in my review and go from there. Manifestation of your life.